Good morning, good morning, good morning. If you're tuning in live here at 7:25 a.m., welcome to News in Motion. If you're catching the replay, we just want to say good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whatever time you're watching the replay, whatever time you're watching the replay. Thank you for tuning into News in Motion. Today is Wednesday, May the 1st. Wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is May 1st, 2024, and we have What to Know Wednesday here on News in Motion. We can be found on LinkedIn, YouTube, or any audio or podcast platforms. And speaking of our audio and podcast viewers, we just want to say thank you for turning those dials to NIM today. Uh, Good morning to you, Miss Shirley Nicholson, tuning in through YouTube. Good morning, Miss Adrian, tuning in through YouTube. And good morning, Miss Regina Shorts, who is also tuning in through YouTube as well. If you're ready for What to Know Wednesday, let us know in the chat. And we will be right back after this brief intro, y'all.
News in Motion.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? I see Marion jumping in here, Regina Shorts in here, and Sardinia. So good morning to all of you. I believe he already called out you, Shirley, and Adrian. So glad to see you all this morning. A lot of news is continuously unfolding. We're going to focus a little bit today, but we will have a few highlights as well. But until then, let me know in the chat if you were with us yesterday. How did that inspirational message touch you? Because I've been hearing from a lot of you. What's up, Kim Edmondson? I've been hearing from a lot of you, and it's just so exciting to see how God is stretching us to do some of the most amazing things. I just think God was highlighting some things yesterday. And I thank you, those of you who reached out and said, I'm praying for you. You really poured out yesterday. God did something yesterday, and he did it throughout the entire day. And I was able to witness it. I have some questions that came in from that show as well. That I'll share in a few moments. Good morning, Deborah Johnson. Good morning. But before I do that, I want to once again say thank you. If you don't follow me on Instagram or on the News in Motion Facebook page, I don't put a lot of the business stuff on my personal page anymore on Facebook. But I just want to say thank you. This book, this is the only copy I have. This is mine. I always get the top one. This is mine. No, you cannot have it. And I know it's in demand. And I just want to say thank you. I'm just in awe of how God is moving through this book. We're now on 2 bestsellers lists. One for boutique retailers. It's so exciting. No, it's not the New York Times, but hey, it's a bestsellers list. So we're now on 2. And I'm hearing from you all saying the book is not available. What can I do? Get on the wait list on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get them. And for those of you, there were some of you, like Shirley Nicholson, who ordered more than one on their invoice. And because we were trying to rush to get over 300 and something books out, the team and I, we missed those extra ones, but they're coming to you. And because of the delay, you're not getting 2 of this, but you're going to get another one of my books along with this when we ship them to you, just to say that we are sorry that we missed it, but they're coming. Those of you who RSVP'd for Saturday, I'm so excited. Let me know in the chat if you got an email from us. We want to just make sure you got that email so that you had all the parking directions and everything. And that if you did not have the book, that it's best for you to get it off of Amazon at this point, because bummer, news alert, because I'm the publisher, it's like I'm nobody compared to the retailers who are asking for these, and I know you all are asking. So I personally want to say thank you. Mothers and daughters are doing this book together. There's small groups now forming, going through this book together. So much is going through this book, and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I see you, Jeff Payne, coming in here, and Dr. Antoinette. Marion said God was in what God was and is moving through you yesterday. Just lit a fire in me to stay focused. Thank you, Marion, for sharing that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, y'all, let's get into today's headline. This is What to Know Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, May the 1st, y'all. Hello, May. May is in. Do y'all know we're almost halfway through the year? Like, seriously, this is happening. All right, y'all. So let me start here. Women, and any of you who have nieces, cousins, sisters, aunties, whatever, make sure you get this word out, neighbors. Women, what's up, Pastor Alex? Women, experts say that mammograms should start earlier to address younger age rates for breast cancer. I see you, Virgie. Good morning to you. So y'all listen, AP News, regular mammograms to screen for breast cancer should start younger at age 40, according to an influential U.S. task force. So y'all forget 50. It needs to start at 40. So women ages 40 to 74 should get screened every other year. This is what this group is saying. Previously, that same task force had said women could choose to start breast cancer screening as young as 40, with the stronger recommendation that they get exams every 2 years from age 50 to 74. Well, that has changed. Y'all, let's listen to these rates. Breast cancer death rates have fallen as treatments continue to improve, but breast cancer is still the second most common cause of cancer death in U.S. women. About 240,000 cases are diagnosed annually, and nearly 43,000 women die from breast cancer. I just want y'all to hear that. So this is on an annual basis. So they have seen that in women in 40s, it has risen 2% annually of women with breast cancer in the age as young as 40 since 2015. So a 2% increase. Now, the highest breast cancer deaths are among Black women compared to white women. So just be mindful of that. Get checked. No, we don't like to go. I can't stand it, but we have to do it. It could save our lives. It could. So I wanted to start there. Then the next thing, Dr. Antoinette, I'm sure you were partying yesterday. The former guy has been held in contempt and fined $9,000 for violating a gag order in his criminal trial. This is from all the different news sources, but I'm going to pull the one from NPR. I love the way NPR writes about him. And they say the former president, Donald Trump, has been held in contempt, and the court fined $9,000 for violating a gag order. And many people think that's all he was fined. No, he was fined more than that, y'all. The prosecutors then came out and said, no, he needs to be charged $10,000 down to $1,000 for each 10 posts that he made. So that kind of like added up to 30 grand. So that's what's happening there. He's ordered to pay by this Friday. And the judge told him, let me tell you something, you will go to jail. And, people push back and say, that's not going to happen because you got Secret Service, you have this, that, and the other. We don't know. In other news, continuing with what all of you are seeing over the past several days, I think it's almost a week now, New York Police Department officers were in riot gear as they entered Columbia University on last evening. It's been about 9 hours now. Students were urged by the school officials to shelter in place because they had no idea what was going to happen. As you know, yesterday when we were on the air, I shared with you the breaking news that students had since occupied one of the buildings. So that is happening. What's up, Rodessa? That's happening. So dozens of New York City police officers entered Columbia University's campus last night after student protesters overtook the administrative building yesterday morning. The students who were arrested and let out of the building by police are expected to face charges, including trespassing and criminal mischief. So a lot is still happening there. People want answers. Parents who are paying for school tuition, they're asking questions. Y'all, there's a whole lot going on. Y'all, elsewhere in Portland State University closed its campuses after student protesters broke into the school library. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill canceled its classes. Arrests across universities continued. Over 1,000 people have been arrested so far. So y'all pray. Again, in America, we have the right to peacefully assemble and peacefully protest. So we're just wanting to see what's happening there. So y'all, let's continue to pray for all these campuses, administrators, board members, police, National Guard, those who are coming in with riot gear and so forth. May they have an understanding of what's happening. What's up, Davey? All right, y'all. So we're throwing him a lifeline. Yes, the Democratic Party is throwing him a lifeline in the House. The Democrats have come out under their leader, Hakeem Jeffries, saying that they will block efforts to oust Johnson. They will block efforts. It's really interesting. Now, this is how democracy should work. This is how people should come together. Yeah, House Democrat leader announced yesterday that they would block this effort by Marjorie Taylor Greene and some other people to support him. And they have enough to do that, to support him, to keep him in that position. They understand, and I love what some of them were saying. They understand that work has to be done. And all of these shenanigans back and forth because you don't like that we passed a bill and you don't like that there's been bipartisan support, that you want to then say oust the person. So I'm glad that the Dems this time around are backing him. And I think it's really great that they're doing it because when you look at everything, it really is a bipartisan bill that was passed and signed into legislation. It's great. So why oust somebody? That's just called you're throwing a tantrum, and we're saying no, we're done with that. It's time for you to grow up because we have things to do in this season. We have things to do. Kim Edmondson said the shenanigans must stop. They must stop. It's like, why are we doing this? By the way, I've been thinking I know I have allergies that are happening. But I also didn't have a mask on Sunday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did I catch something? You hugging women and cheering people on. You haven't seen people in a long time. I said, see, I'm going back to my mask in some places. Because I'm like, I don't think all of this is allergies. Not at all. So what else is happening? All right, y'all. If I had an inkling that my brother was up and functioning and all of these things this morning, I would have called Dr. Reginald Thomas and said, I'm going to need you on the show this morning because I was scrolling this morning. I came across this post. So I want to shout this out. He asked us to please share and pass it on. So I would have loved him to be here. And if you're watching, just text me and I'll bring you on. So Souls to the Polls in Maryland. On Sunday, he has a post. This is Dr. Reginald Thomas. Sunday, May the 5th, Souls to the Polls in Maryland. And I loved his graphic on Instagram because he says, know before you go. There are 4 things if you are in Maryland. There are 4 things you should know. Number 1, you can vote at any polling location in your county during early voting. So any polling location in your county during early voting. I thought, well, we should all adopt that, right? Number 2, if you're not registered, go ahead, Maryland. If you're not registered to vote, you can register on site. Go ahead, Maryland. I didn't know y'all had that. So that's happening. Number 3, he wants everyone to know, if you've been convicted of a felony, you can still vote. So Maryland, the state of Maryland, if you have been convicted of a felony, you can still vote. And you can visit elections.maryland.gov for more information. So if somebody can put that in the chat, that'll be great. You can visit elections.maryland.gov for more information. And then he says in his post, spread the word. So again, if you are in Maryland on Sunday, if you attend a Black church, they have Souls to the Polls, where immediately after church at the Greater Gethsemane Baptist Church, following service, they're going to the voting place to vote. So if you are in that area, make sure you jump on that. So I received some questions yesterday. And I'm glad to see, thank you again. Let's see, Dr. Antoinette said, in Maryland, we the people want to vote. Go on, and she is in Maryland. That's what I'm talking about, Doc. That's what I'm talking about. So we received several questions yesterday. I had no idea how yesterday unfolded on News in Motion. But when it was over, I sat back and said, wow, God, it was, I don't know what happened. But this is what happened. One of the letters I received was from someone who's over 70 years old. We actually had a verbal conversation. They gave me, I'm not sharing their name, but they gave me permission to share. And she said that she trusted me enough to ask this question. And here's the question. She says, Gail, I have watched you this last year. My daughter comes to my home and props up her computer so we can watch the show. I'm embarrassed to ask this question at my age. I am 74 years old. What is voting? I thought, wow. And I kind of paused. And she said, she says, I've just learned to read in the past 3 years. And I'm trying to understand. She goes, I've learned more from you than anyone else. She says, so what is voting? Okay, before I get into that, I thought, how many people over the age of 70 have the same question? I said, how many people over the age of 20 have the same question? And are we so busy about going about doing what we do when we're so, and I was thinking about myself, so quick to put out information. This is y'all What to Know Wednesday. I'm so quick to put out information because of what I know, that I am not thinking about those who may not know. And how do I back up and make sure I'm walking with people through this journey, not making the assumption that everyone knows? So I sat there and I started taking notes. I said to her, I said, well, voting is to make an official choice of a person, of a bill, of whatever. We're voting to make an official choice. What choice? Where are we aligning? And why are we aligning with that particular choice? I said, so we do that by casting ballots. And when you're talking about the general election or the primaries, I said, but if you're like in an HOA meeting or a PTA meeting, it could sometimes be by hand, by secret ballot, by write-in or whatever. I said, but you're making a choice. So I shared that with her. I said, and you're really using your voice to vote. It's your voice. It may be through written or computer or whatever. It's your choice. And then she shared with me, y'all. And shout out to her daughter. I don't know who she is. Shout out to her daughter. And good morning, y'all. And she shared with me, she said, I just registered to vote last year after you were talking about it. Wow. Like, y'all, if you're wondering why News in Motion is on air and we haven't voted yet, meaning we haven't decided we're done with this yet, because that's that one person. Although we know there are many, but that's that one person who said, I registered to vote after listening to you on News in Motion. Wow. So if anyone's wondering why we do what we do, that's why. That's why. That one person, sometimes we look for numbers and we don't need all these thousands of people. It may feel good, but when you hear a person over 70 saying, last year, because of you, I registered to vote, y'all, that's a game changer here. Marianne says, thank God she had the courage to talk to you and ask questions. I thank God for you and News in Motion. Well, thank you. So, we were having our conversation, and I love this about her. She said, now, baby, I love it when older people say that. She says, now, baby, that all sounds good, but this is me. Can you tell me why I should vote? I said, well, I'm glad you asked, mother. I'm glad you asked. And I said to her, I said, because this is your right as a citizen of the United States of America. I said, this is your right. That's why you should vote. I said, you should vote because things about your children, your grandchildren, if you have great grandchildren, this is your legacy. This is why you should vote. And she said, thank you. So that ended that particular conversation. And again, y'all, I'm so excited about having that conversation with her. But then I had another conversation. This was on DM back and forth for about 15 minutes. And he's a Black millennial male. And he says, I don't get it. He said, and I decided I'm going to inbox you after watching some of the previous News in Motion videos. Y'all, our subscriber numbers have gone up on YouTube. I don't know how that happened, but it's happening. And he asked somewhat of the same question. And he said, why does it matter for me, a black man, to vote when I'm not seeing any changes? And then he said, he called me Miss Gail. He said, Miss Gail, I don't want the crap. I just want to know the truth. And I said, well, okay, let me back up. But y'all, at the same time, and this is What to Know Wednesday workshop, whatever you want to call it, I had to say, okay, let me not just give him an answer. Let me pause and let me ask him questions. And I said, well, why are you raising a question today? I asked him his age. He's 30 something. I said, well, what is it that you want from me that maybe you haven't received from someone else? He said, I just want the truth. And he said, and so far, I believe you're spilling, he used the words, but you're spilling the truth. And I said, well, I would like to think that I am spilling the truth. So what is it that you need? And so we went back and forth. And so I wrote back, and I want to share these with you all today as well. I said, well, you're right. I said, you're voting to share your voice on several things. And I started off with education because I asked him about his background. He's a college educated black man. And I said, well, education. I said, how were you able to go to school? And we had that conversation on DM going back and forth. And I said, well, what about other people who may not have the same type of entryway as you had to get into college, university? And then I said, well, what about now that you have jobs? I said, you looked at your pay stub. I said, taxes. I said, you can vote speaking into how your taxes, how money is being spent. And if you agree or disagree, I said, now understand, every time you vote, you may not win. Your vote may not win. I said, but still you exercise your right to vote. The economy, education, Social Security. We got into Social Security. And what was so interesting from this millennial was, that's not going to matter to me. And I said, let's talk about this. And I said, but if we just immediately say it's over, it's gone, it's done, it's not going to matter. But do you want that to matter for you when you get in that age of over 60? And what does that look like for you? DMing back and forth. So we talked about that, human rights. I said, you have a sister? He's like, I have 3. Good. And so we had that conversation. I was sending him links to look at. I said, I know we don't have time. I said, thank you for reaching out, but here's some links to read for yourself. I told him about infrastructure. I asked him about the neighborhood he grew up in. I made it personal. So in this workshop Wednesday, I want to empower all of us to make it personal. Before you answer the question, ask questions. Because I gathered information from this young man before I just started giving him information. And I made it personal to him. I asked him about his neighborhood, where he grew up. What was the infrastructure like? Why did it matter? How often does he return home? He talks about his parents still live in the home where he grew up, and he goes, and he hates going back home because of the neighborhood and things that has happened in the roads. And I said, this is good. So in DMing him back, I was talking about that and how that makes a difference. Immigration, I talked about veterans because I realized from the conversation how veterans impact his family, and then jobs. Okay, so y'all, that's how we can do these things. And then I sent him this DM, and Mother, if you're listening, I want to share this with you. The most important reason to vote is because rights as American citizens. I believe that is our right to vote, hands down. Hands down. And they're trying so hard to take that right away from us that I know our voices matter. And there was a time under the Constitution, I went and looked all this up, y'all, that only white male citizens, which you all know, under the age of 21 were eligible to vote. And I want to make sure I put that out there. Thank you, Kim Edmondson. Thank you. Y'all, women were denied the right to vote until 1920. All right, when the 19th Amendment was ratified. And we need to even look at that. And I know I put numbers out there because we should also look at the 15th Amendment as well. And every now and then we need to go back and get an understanding to bring it back forward. Today, citizens over the age of 18, over age 18, cannot be denied the right to vote. Now, understanding in different states, there are different rules. Okay, if you have a felony in some states, you cannot vote. Just different things. You have to have an understanding of what that is based upon the state in which you live. Now, federal elections, and this is a question that has come up several times, and it was a question that came up yesterday. They said, tell me again, in the House, we're voting for everybody? Yes, let me break that down. Federal elections occur every 2 years. Every 2 years on the first Tuesday after the first Monday. In this case, I believe it's November the 5th. Every member of the House of Representatives and about 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election on any given election year. So y'all, every 2 years, yes, that is true. And a presidential election is held every 4th year. Okay, so that's what it is. That's what it is. So then another question came up, and the question was, this family is moving. They're moving from one state to another. And the state they move into is called Texas. And they were like, what do we do? Because their voting registration is already over. So what do we do? I said, that's a darn good question. I don't know. So I had to go be nosy. I went to look it up. So I went to Texas to check it out, and to be eligible to vote, I'm going to come back to that one. You have to go to USA.gov. USA.gov. Kim Edmondson says, research all the shenanigans they tried to use to suppress our vote in the past. Listen, your voice, that's true. So I'm still on Texas. Let me go back to Texas. Or if you're moving to any state, if you're moving from one state to another, especially in a year like this year, you want to go to www, and Isaiah, I hope you can grab this. I want you to go to www.usa.gov/change-voter-registration. So if somebody can put that in there, again, that's www.usa.gov/change-voter-registration. It'll tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. You can do it right there on that website, and you don't have to deal with anything else. Now, you do have to show your updated license, driver's license, or voter or government ID. So that needs to be done first before you go to this website. Now, when you're updating it, in many cases, you can change it there as well, as long as you have already been a registered voter. I thought that was an extremely important question, and I really didn't know the answer. So there's that. So also talking about Texas, if y'all remember yesterday, I was giving you all the counties that were still needing poll workers. Well, Texas, I was trying to figure out why. Let's see. Davia said it takes courage to change your long-held habits or belief. Bravo to this. Listen. I know I was on the phone with her, Davia, and I was like, wow, little on me. Here's a woman who trusted me. Like, she told me that she didn't even tell her daughter this. And I was like, little old me. Amazing. Just amazing. The moment I was like, can I call you? And she said, yes. I was like, that was a conversation. I will hold that conversation until I die. Like, it was just amazing to me. So thank you for highlighting that. So still talking about Texas. I remember yesterday I was sharing with you all, they were begging people to come and be election officials, election poll workers. And I went looking because I was like, wow, y'all don't have any, like, what is happening here? Now, they've changed their vote by mail. Well, if you telling people they can't vote by mail, what do you think they're going to do? Like, seriously. So, yeah, this is voter suppression. Let's just talk about it. Because the counties I looked at, I see. So I went and found out, well, how can a person vote by mail? Here's how you can vote by mail in Texas. You have to be 65 years or older. You have to be. You have to be sick or disabled. And when I say sick or disabled, you have to prove it. Okay. Let me see what Shirley's saying. She said, my husband just had to change his voting location, but didn't have an updated driver's license for Ohio, and they accepted his passport. And that is okay in Ohio. There are places where passports are not accepted, which is the craziest thing, because you have to go through the federal government to get a passport. So again, that's voter suppression. But thank you, Shirley, for sharing that. You have to be sick or disabled in Texas to get a mail-in ballot. And for Texas, I thought, because they said you have to prove it. Well, if I'm disabled and I can't leave my home, how am I proving that? Like, what do you need? You need a doctor's note? And when I was digging into this and I was looking at some people who had questions on this Texas website, which I'll give it to y'all. That's SOS. I don't know why they do. I guess it's Secretary of State. SOS.texas.gov/elections. Y'all, it's all on there. It's amazing. It's amazing. Reading is fundamental. And people were saying, well, my doctor says I need to get a doctor's note. Well, the state is saying I need to get a doctor's note, but my doctor is saying they need to see me. So now I got to pay a premium to have a doctor come to my home to say, yes, in fact, I am disabled or sick, and I can't leave the house, and I have to get all of this done and signed and sent back in. Well, what? Dr. Antoinette says, suppose you're traveling, but I'm under 65 for whatever their magic number is. Well, hold on, because I'm getting there too. You must be out of the country on election day and during the entire period of early voting by personal appearance. Okay, so let's say I get stuck and I'm sick out the country. How about that? Or I'm coming back. I think I can make it, and my plane's delayed or canceled or whatever. Then what? Yeah, that's really the power of early voting as well. So in case any of those things happen, you must now get this one. I thought this one was a very interesting thing. Their rule on the Texas website. Be expected to give birth within 3 weeks before or after election day. They really don't understand pregnancy, do they? They don't. You can go into false labor. You can go into early labor. You don't really know. They give you a due date, but the due date is not always a due date. So, yeah, so there's that. Now, I thought this one was very interesting as well. This is What to Know Wednesday, right, y'all? You must be, these are their words, not mine. You must be confined in jail, but otherwise eligible. What? So, let's say I get picked up on Thursday night, and I'm there, or let's say Friday night, and I'm there through the weekend, and there's no court hearing on Monday, and now it's election day Tuesday. What? I'm eligible? You got the wrong person, the wrong identity, or it's a parking ticket. I don't know. I'm confined to jail. I can't vote. So, y'all, that's their list. That's what it looks like, y'all. So there's so many shenanigans, and we just have to figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to live, and how we're going to move and have our being. All right, keeping up with the book. Again, did y'all get my letter from me? Who's coming to the, I just want to make sure they actually hit y'all's mailboxes. I decided I was going to the book today for the devotion, for the inspirational message today. And there was something I wanted to read. I found it. All right. This is devotion 89. 89. Pause, reflect, and breathe. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But I was thinking about yesterday, and I said it is time for us to pause and reflect and breathe. Dr. Antoinette said, just bring out the jar of jelly beans or bar of soap. Listen, I guess. I don't know how you're going to do it. But it's time for us to pause, reflect, and breathe. There's so much going on, y'all. There's so much. And we just have to pause. We just got to pause and take a look around, survey the land, and see what's happening. reflect on it, and breathe. We gotta breathe through what's happening. We have to breathe through. So that first paragraph there says, pause, reflect, and breathe. In the fast-paced world we live in, it's easy to get caught up. Y'all, it's easy to get caught up in all these news headlines, all these things that are going on, but we have to pause, reflect, and breathe. We can get caught up in the busyness and forget to take a moment for ourselves. You're important. You're important. Your health is important. Your mental health is important. It's important. Your emotions are important. It is important. Your physical health, it is important. It is so important. But it's crucial that we intentionally create space to pause, to slow down, and to observe what is happening around us. Y'all, we just cannot be a fly-by-night saying, okay, whatever's happening is happening. No, we have to take action. And this is our moment in society to do that. And I get that so many of us are tired, and we just have to pause. We just have to reflect. We have to take a moment. And in saying that, next week, that's exactly what we're doing. We're not having News in Motion next week, not unless something amazing comes forward and we have to come on air. Because I realize for my mental health, I got to pause. I got to reflect. I got to breathe. And the way this news is coming at us, ongoing, understand. I want y'all to understand this. A newsroom that produces not even half the news that we produce in this 30-minute time frame. A newsroom normally has, for every journalist, every host, about 12 plus, minimum 12 or more researchers who are researching all of this and handing it to that journalist or that host to deliver the news. Yeah, me. So combing through all of those things, and I'm not complaining, y'all. I'm not complaining because I love every moment of it. Combing through all of that, there's times like I'm going to need to breathe because I have no one to really bounce this off of, to have conversations, to laugh with, or anything like that. So I'm going to take care of me and make sure that I'm pausing, I'm reflecting, and I'm breathing so that I can keep coming to you all week after week to deliver this type of news. So, hey, it's happening. You all loved last week's town hall. So we got something similar tomorrow that I'm excited to have Tonisha English with us tomorrow. We're looking at anyone who's talking about organizations, starting a business, movement building, government, civic engagement, whatever. We're going to talk about email marketing, and we're still on to social media, but we're really going to dive into email marketing tomorrow. So if you want to have anything to do with that, you want to come and check that out. Even if you don't need it now, you may need it in the future. And if you know anybody who may need it, tell them to join us tomorrow at 7:25 a.m. All right, y'all, that's all I have for you all today. I am your host, Gail Dudley. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Y'all, it will be 4 years in June. But y'all know what I say. Stay well, everyone. And remember to make some bold moves. We're out.
NewsInMotion.